The Paradox of Greatness Through Humility, Part 10. In a world that constantly beckons us to pursue greatness through self-aggrandizement and the accumulation of power, wealth and fame, the teachings of Scripture present a paradoxical truth. The path to true greatness lies in becoming small. This paradox, woven throughout the tapestry of the Bible, challenges our conventional notions of success and invites us to embrace a counter-initiative wisdom that has the power to transform our lives and our world. The example of Christ. At the heart of this paradox stands the towering figure of Jesus Christ, the embodiment of divine humility. In the Gospel accounts, we witness the Son of God, the Creator of the universe, willingly laying aside his heavenly glory to take on the form of a servant. Philippians 2:6-8. Born in a humble manger, he lived a life of simplicity, associating with the marginalized and the outcasts, and ultimately surrendering his life on the cross, the ultimate act of self-abasement. Yet in this profound act of humility, Christ revealed the true essence of greatness. His sacrifice became the cornerstone of our salvation, and his example of servanthood became the blueprint for those who seek to follow in his footsteps. As he declared, "Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be slave of all." Mark 10:43-44. The wisdom of Scriptures. This paradox of greatness through humility echoes throughout the pages of Scripture, resonating with the wisdom of the ages. The Proverbs remind us that pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall, Proverbs 16:18, while the psalmist proclaims, "Though the Lord is exalted, he looks kindly on the lowly," Psalm 138:6. In the New Testament, the Apostle Paul, once a zealous Pharisee, consumed by his own self-righteousness, embraced this paradox wholeheartedly. He declared, "I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me." Galatians 2:20. Acknowledging that true greatness is found in the surrender of self to the divine will. The path to transformation. Embracing the paradox of greatness through obedience and humility is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is a transformative journey that requires a radical shift in our perspective and priorities. It calls us to lay aside our ego, our pursuit of self-glorification, and our desire for recognition, and instead to clothe ourselves in the garment of humility. 1 Peter 5:5. As we walk this path, we discover the liberating truth that true greatness is not measured by the accolades of the world, but by the depth of our character, the authenticity of our relationships, and the impact we have on the lives of others. It is in the act of serving, of putting others before ourselves, that we find the true fulfillment and purpose for which we were created. Moreover, as we embrace humility, we open ourselves to the transformative power of God's grace. The Scriptures remind us that God opposes the proud, but shows favour to the humble, James 4:6, and that it is the humble who will inherit the earth, Matthew 5:5. In our weakness, we become vessels for the manifestation of God's strength, and our lives become living testimonies to the paradoxical truth that true greatness is found in becoming small. In a world that constantly bombards us with messages of self-promotion and the pursuit of personal glory, the paradox of greatness through humility stands as a beacon of truth, challenging us to redefine our understanding of success and to embrace a countercultural wisdom that has the power to transform not only our lives but also the world around us. As we journey through life, may we have the courage to embrace this paradox, to lay aside our pride and self-importance, and to walk in the footsteps of Christ, the ultimate example of humility and greatness. For in becoming small, we discover the true essence of greatness, a life of purpose, impact, and eternal significance. The parable of the towering oak and the humble wildflower. There stood in the forest a mighty oak tree, its branches stretching high into the heavens. This great oak looked down upon the small wildflowers growing at its base. "Look how puny and insignificant you are," said the oak. "I am the mightiest tree of the forest, with my towering trunk and far-reaching boughs. Creatures of the forest take shelter in my shade, and birds build their nests among my leaves. You simple wildflowers will wither and be forgotten." One of the wildflowers replied, "Though we are small, we bring beauty to the forest floor. Our vibrant petals delight the weary traveller, and our seeds help sustain the creatures that call this forest home. True greatness is not measured by size alone." That summer, a great drought struck the land. While the wildflowers persisted with their shallow roots, the mighty oak began to wither. Its leaves browned and branches became brittle under the scorching sun. "Please help me," cried the oak to the wildflowers. "I need but a sip of water to survive this drought." The wildflowers clustered together and shared what little moisture they could gather from the parched earth with the oak's gnarled roots. Though their offering was small, it was enough to keep the oak tree alive. When the rains finally returned, the mighty oak tree was humbled. Its great height could not protect it from the harshest of nature's tests. The oak looked down at the wildflowers with newfound respect. "You may be small, but your strength and generosity cannot be measured, for even the mightiest tree of the forest needs the simple things you offer to survive." And so it was that the oak learned that true greatness lies not in size or stature, but in the ability to be humble, resilient, and giving, just like the wildflowers.